Welcome, everyone. This is Pineleaf Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Terry Edwin.
Hi.
Ariandis.
Hey, everybody.
Maven.
Hey, y'all.
And Sanswinda.
Hello.
And this week we had a little break with the people over at Standing Stone's game, but we do have last week's Beacon to talk about since we didn't have a show last week. So let's have a look at what was in that issue of the Beacon, issue number 40, where apparently people are partying.
Can't imagine why.
That what you do?
Yeah,
and it looks all wintry and festive and everything.
Yes, it's almost like Yule passed by as we were away.
Almost.
Except it didn't pass by because it's still going on.
Well, yes, you do have that little point there. Because the festival does last until, was it January 4th?
Yes.
Then let's have a look at what our weekly comment was, and that is, warm up some hot cocoa and tell us the title of your most favorite Yuletime story. The dog answered first, yes. I know it's coming up. Yuletime story? What's that?
The ones in the forums are really great. Everyone's being really, really creative. There's Manny the Red-Nosed Auroch, Once Upon a Mordor Dreary, Snow Beast and the Seven Dwarves, Three Blind Hobbits.
Ouch!
'Twas the night before the new raid.
Oh, 'twas the night. A visit from Thalrock.
Miracle on Fourth Circle of Minas Tirith.
That's awesome.
Bjorn and the Baby Snow Beasts.
You're into this. All right, that's quite a list of them over there. And of course, even the beacon's a little bit light because you're so close to the holidays. And we do have, of course, screenshot of the week is Glorwyn and Andronel playing some music after completing some Yule Festival quests.
Yeah, it's a great shot. Terry, can you name where those cosmetics are from? Or do you recognize them at all?
The dress and the robe are quest rewards that you get after Yule Festival, actually.
Okay.
If you've helped the poor during the Yule Festival, you get a quest. You get an envelope in the mail about 3, 4, I don't know how many weeks later. And then the shoulders are crafted pieces, and I'm not sure about the cloak. It's probably looks like the Elrond cloak, the Lothorian cloak. I want to know where they found the elk to stand in front of, though. Is that one of the pets?
It might have been. Maybe from the anniversary festival?
I don't
Wasn't
remember.
there something called Reginald? I feel like there was, but I might be wrong.
Well, the stag looks like something from Bingo.
Maybe it was Bingo.
It's bingo or anniversary.
White Heart.
Yeah,
White Heart was
or it could be
anniversary.
anniversary.
Oh, White Heart.
Oh, that was anniversary? Okay. How will I remember that then? That's right, because the scavenger hunt that sent you all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Again, nobody blames you for trying to block it out.
And we also have an article talking about a Hobbity Yule calendar. talking about a little recipes, songs, and stuff like that in a blog from Piscella, and there is a link to that in the Chronicle. Therefore, let's see. Do we have any sales this week?
We do have sales this week.
Ooh.
We have the Yule Savings Event Part 2. 75% off Bjorning and Character Slot Bundle and Cosmetic Bundles. 50% off Relics and Crafting Boosts. 50% off Premium Wallet Upgrade and Cosmetic Headwear, because apparently we all need hats. And 35% off XP Boosts and Travel Skills. And then we've got double bonus points if you buy LOTRO points through January 1st.
The Premium Wallet
All
is
right.
a really good deal. If you don't have it already, you should get it.
Okay. And this week's LOTRO Players News is brought to us by the Abyss of Mordath, where you want to go in order to chase after your least favorite dwarf.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Way to sell it, Pineleaf.
What if Skorgrim was your least favorite dwarf, though, Pineleaf?
Oh, yeah. There is that thing about Skorgrim. You've got a point with that. Well, then...
Least favorite in
they
Mordor?
Second least favorite dwarf?
Second least...
New least favorite dwarf?
New least favorite dwarf. Yeah, with Skorgrim gone. Yeah, I guess he could be the nouveau least favorite dwarf.
So it's one of those, hi, nice to meet you. You have replaced my least favorite dwarf and are now my most hated dwarf, revamped version.
Pretty much.
I have a ranked list of all of the dwarves that I hate.
I think that pretty much tells about it. Let's head into our site news then, and we'll begin with a little article by Squirrely talking about instances again, where it's the second part of the Angmar experience, where he asked the question, to Balrog or not to Balrog?
Not. Don't. Don't.
What he is doing, he is talking about the two raids that are in Angmar. He spends a brief amount of time with the raid that everybody forgets, and then talks about the rift about as much time as it takes to do the rift, right?
What do you mean the raid everybody forgets? Is that Baragularan?
Yeah, I can't even remember his name.
I wasn't even looking at the article, and I knew what it was called. So, not everybody forgets about BG.
Well, all right. There are some people who have spectacular, wonderful memories, or either that or experiences that seared it into their mind. But the rest of us, yeah, we have the Rift is, of course, one of the most well-known raids, of course, and is probably on the list of least likely instances ever to be revamped, due to the fact that it has this classic nature into it. And I did the Rift once. Oh, if you count failing at the boss room still. And so we didn't quite complete it because we couldn't unlock the boss, but we got through everything else in the Rift. 6 hours later. These days, when I feel like going into the Rift, I run a skirmish.
You wait for the feeling to pass.
Yes.
You ever feel like going into the Rift?
Well, you got a point with that.
Yeah, I call foul on that one. I don't think Riley ever actually feels like going into the Rift.
Well, but he's always skirmishing, though. So it could be that, every time he skirmishes, there's some, subtle want in him that wants to do the raid, the Rift. And he just doesn't recognize that. He thinks it's the skirmishing urge.
Well, you go on believing that, yes. Seriously though, yes, I might have been in the raid in that instance once or twice since then, but certainly, yeah, certainly haven't done anything close to the full raid since then. Because let's face it, how often do you have the time in which to do it? Because even if you are
It's long, yeah.
It's long. And when I was talking about the time it took us, however long it was, everybody in the group was at least level 75. And it still took us 6 hours to fail it. And the reason why,
That was adventures, right?
No.
Because we did do it with adventures.
I'm trying to figure out I can't remember how far we got in there.
I don't know, because I had to leave early.
Yeah, because the one I was talking about was on Winfola, back when that server was open. I think we started we started gathering at 8. I think we went into the instance at 10, and we gave up at 3.
Oh my gosh.
So therefore, the 6-hour figure I'm giving is a compromise between when we started gathering for it and the time which we entered it.
I love how halfway through the article, there's a screenshot of the "you have been defeated" screen, and the caption underneath says, "A sight you still see."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, pretty often in the Balrog, even going in over leveled. It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Of course, my bird, that was pretty much her entire time grouping, was that screen. You have been defeated? Yeah, about 30 seconds into an instance, Squish.
Yes, if I remember correctly, that looks very much like the screen I was looking at when I was fighting Dragok.
There's another instance I would rather do anything else.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Though just running in and listening to him is thrilling. And if you ever encounter somebody who says that you should run down straight in, you should totally do that. Once.
That's because you'll be wise enough not to do it after it.
It only takes the one time.
It only takes the one time, that's right.
I tell you, that was awesome. Even though I somewhat doubt your advice in the future when you tell me to run forward.
Yes, I do believe that there are a couple of times when if Sans eggs me on to do something, it's probably not in my best health and safety concerns. Then after talking all about the raids in Angmar, he then asked what it would take in order to build a classic version of LOTRO. And of course, the first question is asked, okay, so what do you mean by classic version? So it talks about everything you would have to do in order to create, if someone wanted to say, okay, we'll create a version of LOTRO from this date, or from this date, or from this date, or from this date. And of course, one of the things he mentions is you'll probably have trouble getting 2 people to agree on the exact same date to choose.
Yeah.
No, you can lock it there because that's just before they fixed this bug.
Yeah, and certain people have certain, criteria or things that they think would be more important than others.
Yeah, that's right. Like the question of all right, you really want to go back to the days when it took this long to get to level 50? In fact, I don't think I had anyone who was at level cap before Moria. Of course, I created all new characters when Moria came out anyway, so it would have been moot. And therefore, anyone have any opinions on where they would consider to be the best time for LOTRO?
Well, I think all of LOTRO is good. I wouldn't want to go back to classic LOTRO. I actually really think that's a dumb idea.
Yeah. I think it would.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's progress in the game. You just deal with it and you move on. You don't sit there and whine and complain about it.
And that's what we hear about a lot.
The game!
Yes. And then we
You
have
can
to
send your flaming emails about how much of a fangirl of Standing Stone I am to podcast at LOTRO. Now I don't know what I'm talking about. Feel free.
Yes. All right. Yes. And they also, of course, in addition to ruining the game, as they said, continued on the story and had some of the best storytelling in it. They might have had,
I think a lot of the recent stuff is better story than some of the old stuff.
The old stuff, I think, tended to have better, maybe stronger in the way of group content on needing a group, but of course, I'm not exactly someone who demands heavy group content, so.
Well, I think if you liked the MMO aspects, then sure, go back to the old way. But if you prefer the story and hanging out with friends and discovering, Middle-earth lore type stuff, then why would you want to go back to the old way? Because all of the lore stuff is the new stuff.
That's right. Then let's head into a little skirmishy thing, and that is the first entry in the 3rd edition of Piney's Pictorial Primer to Skirmishing, where I have the General Skirmish Guide and the guide for the solo lieutenants.
Nice.
Sweet. Thank you, Pineleaf.
Yay.
Yes, thank you. I, for one, am pumped for this.
Yes, and this means then I'm also hoping that the General Skirmish Guide that I have there is going to help me in getting new versions of the various skirmish guides out, because some of them mysteriously disappeared earlier this year.
Because something broke the site.
Yeah, and a lot of those things disappeared. So now I want to be able to get those things when I get the new editions of those, especially those early ones, the ones that disappear, and try to get them up as quickly as possible. So I'll probably having a few more skirmish guides popping in over the next few months.
So basically what we're going to be hearing and what Pineleaf's been doing is skirmishes, and more skirmishes.
Yes! I'm afraid that it's going to be popping up quite a bit.
The good news, though, everything at the skirmish camp is cheap for Pineleaf.
Meaning I have many, many marks.
Right. Or
If you
you're
had to
getting
guess,
rich
Pineleaf,
in marks and medallions.
Yeah.
if you had to guess, Pineleaf, what would you kind of estimate about how many marks and medallions you have or have had?
You can actually check in the game. Which server are you talking about, though?
I didn't think that far ahead when I asked the question.
Yeah, it turns out you can actually check and see how many marks and medallions you have earned over the course of the game.
Really?
Yeah, there's a stats panel. The Control K will get you your skirmish stats, and it tells you all kinds of nifty things about how much you've earned over the course of forever, and how well or not well you've done on specific instances. Not just skirmishes, also other instances.
I did not know that. You said that's
one of
Control
those-
K?
I believe
Yeah.
so.
Bonus new player question of the week, guys, right here.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't think a lot of people are aware of or bother using.
Yeah, I have a button on that particular item, so I never remember what the hotkey is for because I pressed the button instead. But yeah, it gives you you can use it for your skirmish stats, and it's on the same panel as also the information on your skirmish soldier, so you can check up on your soldier without having to go to a skirmish camp and talk.
Yep.
Then let's head into our new player question. And Arandas, what do we have this week?
This week, I've learned how to do this outside of this, but I wanted to ask it in case anybody else was having the same struggle that I was. Is it possible to rename cosmetic pets? And if so, how do you do so?
It is absolutely possible to rename your cosmetic pet. You type /CPET space rename space name of whatever you want to name the pet.
Yeah, that took way too long for me to work out.
Yeah. Yeah, that can be tricky to remember and stuff like that, especially since I've done it so rarely that next time you want to do it, it's like saying, okay, now what's that command again? What's that command again?
Oh, see, I rename my pets all the time. Let me see if I can put it in the podcast.
Yeah, shout out to Kai who helped me figure that out. Appreciate it.
Let's see, total marks earned 1,134,060.
Oh my gosh, Matthew.
And nobody is actually surprised by this.
All right. So therefore, all right. So /CPET then. Okay, it's remembering
Yeah,
that.
it's in cosmetic pet rename.
Yeah, it's one that as I said, I always forget because it's trying to think. Okay, now what do I really want to call this little bunny I have following me now? I mean, I'm not gonna call the owl Hedwig or anything like that because
I've seen plenty of those though.
Yeah, no, that's why I don't want to call it.
I named mine not Hedwig.
Then let's head into our week in LOTRO. And Terry, what were you up to?
I finished Mordor.
Yay!
Hey, congrats.
Well, I mean, except for like dailies and allegiances, I haven't finished the allegiances, but I finished all of the story, including I got dragged through Saragoth twice.
Yay!
at 105. So we did tier 1 105 Court of Saragoth, and we two-manned it. Maven and I two-manned it. And it wasn't too bad because at 105, when you're level 115 and you're a champion, you basically shred through everything like it's paper. So I'm like, well, this is easy. So then they talked me into going through it again at level 105 tier 2, which not too bad, except instead of paper, it's more like cardboard, so it takes a little bit more effort to kill stuff. So I went down the same. We got into a room where the first time through, Maven had said, yeah, we can kill everything. I said, so I can just run down and round them all up, right? And just, which was great. So the first time through, I ran down, gathered all the things up, shing, everything died. Second time through, Maven had kind of stopped paying attention to me because she's on her lore master, and she was,
and I'm thinking 105, right?
They were killing stuff in the corners. You know, I was running down the middle, and they were picking off stuff in the corners. So I run down the middle, and I shing, and I blow the champion's horn, and stuff still isn't dead. So now I've got this mass of enemies on me, and champions heal by killing stuff. So when I'm popping my skills and then stuff's not dying, it's not healing me. So I kind of got myself killed.
But I did come smoker back alive.
She did come smoking back to life. So I was watching the "You have been defeated" screen for about 5 minutes until they got out of combat.
Yeah.
And then we had to do the challenge twice, but that worked because the first time Sans got that nasty bleed on her right at the beginning and died.
Ugh. The
And
incurable blade.
second time through, Lyreth started for Sans, but I shot her with an auto attack arrow to just kind of turn her toward me, and I was getting ready to run, and then the ranger came through and snagged the aggro off of me because I had
For
just
once, the Rangers made
for
themselves
once the Rangers
useful.
Oh my
actually were
gosh.
useful.
Yeah.
And so he took the aggro off of me, and it was fine because I just shot her the one time and then stopped shooting. So I popped my auto attack on and then back off again. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. The less fun thing is I attempted dailies. So I picked up the Dora Marth dailies to go into the level 115 camps, and I promptly got myself squished. Because at level 115, I can handle... Okay, so level 115 on level, I can handle stuff on my level. Mind you, you're going into these camps of enemies. They go from normal to elites to, like, elite masters. So,
Yeesh.
and the normals have, like, 82,000 morale.
Yeah.
Just to set some
gracious.
perspective here. That's the normals. Okay, so the front gate is 2 normals, which are pew-pews. They're Mordor archers. And then behind them are 2 elites, which have like double the hit points. Those are Mordor guards. And they're linked, so you have to take them both on. And then beyond that, I think there's another pair of guards or something. So I was doing okay. As a champion at 115, I can take 2 elites and kill them without really worrying too much about my morale. The problem came when I was heading for one of the cages, and the guard that was by it had 4 other guys that came at me, and I went squish, and I was very salty about it. I was not a happy camper because I'm feeling okay with 2. At one point, I had 3, and I was getting pretty down there, and my morale was pretty low, but I was still there. And then I had 5, and that was just no. It's just not going to happen. So now I understand what everybody's been complaining about how difficult Mordor is, because that's ridiculous. I mean, if those guys were normals, no problem. I could mow through a bunch of normals, but you're talking those are all elites, and I think the trolls are elite masters. So I had like 4 guys and a troll, and that was not a good day. Fortunately, Thursday we went through and they helped me finish out those quests, which didn't count for the dailies because it was like 2 days later and they weren't the dailies anymore. But I got them done. And then yesterday I actually discovered the Mordor resource instances. Well, the Mordor instances in general, which are connected to the dailies. So you can take the quest for the instance, and then you can take the other quest, which is the allegiance quest, and you go into the instance, and you have the allegiance quest is to do one thing, and the quest for the instance is to do another thing. And I did 2 of them, and I actually didn't do too badly. Yeah, I did. I did the 2 in Udun, so I did.
Durthang and Anglok.
Yeah, Anglok and Durthang.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Anglok I think is a really easy one.
And that's an open one. That's an open instance. Anglok is. The rest of them are closed.
Yeah, but nobody was in there. I mean, and that was yesterday. Was Udun and Dora Marth were the dailies, and there was nobody in there. It was completely empty. I had the place to myself. I thought it was like on my own. But yeah, it was easy. So, Arendis, what have you been up to?
Well, it's mostly been festival-related stuff. I earned enough for a cosmetic white rabbit, and the thing ensued. That's been pretty much it. I took someone through the festival for the first time. I'm trying to get enough tokens for the Fire Grim, and yeah, just been kind of enjoying the festival. Maven, how was your week this week?
It's actually, well, I kind of covered the last 2 weeks, I guess. It's like time's been running together. I got my Lore Master and Cappy up past level 100 by running the Yule Festival. So they're still running to get crystals for their allies, because the allies they're going to get now that they're over 100 are going to be their allies forever. So I'm still running them through that. And then they're going to go dual boxing Gondor. I'm really looking forward to that. I've been sort of practicing dual boxing them through the festival, which is a safe test because, of course, some of the stuff you can't duel. I mean, like the kill quests are fellowship quests, so I can leave one on follow and the other one can do the killing, and that's fine. But then there's other times that are like collection quests or talk to the snow beasts or whatever. You have to each do that. So that's kind of a mini version of what I'm going to have to do in Gondor because it's on landscape. That's how the quests are going to be. Some of the stuff can be done in a fellowship. Others are going to have to be done separately. So it's like, you leave one station someplace and take the other one through the stuff that they have to do on their own. Then you go back and get the second one. So it's going to be interesting running through Gondor. I'm sure y'all will be hearing about it. I'm sure it'll show up on my weekly highlights. Stocked up on swag and pets at the Yule Festival. So I got the owl and I got the rabbit, but different owls got different ones. So my lore master Maven got the owl, which seemed appropriate to me because she usually wears white, and Glurdro got the rabbit because he keeps her company in the abyss of Mordath. Speaking of which, so I've been running the 12-man. Sans and I both have been running the 12-man raid, not just the two of us, but with 10 other people. And we've made it through the second boss and found the third boss. So, and it's really interesting. The lore aspects of this are really interesting because there's some loose ends tied up. And in fact, Sans and I had quite a philosophical discussion today about boss number 2. Because the ends, I don't want to spoil it. Should I?
Don't spoil it yet.
Yeah,
but
won't spoil it yet. I think what we'd like to do is maybe Sans and I can actually kind of give you an overview of the whole thing, both from a lore perspective and a little from the mechanics perspective, once we've been through and completed it, because it's pretty interesting. You were saying, Sans? Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying it was so interesting that I woke up thinking about it. That was all.
She did, yes, right. Yeah, it is really interesting. Well, it's along the lines, because remember the Minas Tirith epic story, which kind of blew our minds. It's not quite that size, but it's in that same vein of sort of like, oh, well, that's interesting kind of lore stuff. So it's cool. But hopefully hopefully the next time we get together, we will be able to report that we were actually able to complete the whole thing. So speaking of Sans Winda, how about you?
Well, because I am brilliant and stuff, I already had 2 characters this week.
Because that goes so well when you do that.
Right, exactly. One was a lore master and one was a minstrel. And I promptly went roving threat hunting with my new lore master. And it went pretty well. I took my sister's newly Ariad hunter with me. And got to figure out how to get aggro off of her onto my bear a few times. But it was fun. And we got all of them and they didn't get us, so that was good. And then we ran through Nan Wathrin on the field trip. And I took a little level 26 hunter through. And dwarf hunters sound like they're having a lot of fun too. I hadn't realized that before.
Dwarves in general just sound like they're having a blast. Pretty much everything they do.
He was having fun, and he was one-shotting things up until we got to the elites, so that was pretty good.
Nice.
I don't know if the rest of the people in the group felt like that was good or not, though. As my sister has endeavored to show me with her new hunter and my lore master, it's not always very nice of the hunter to shoot things. I still don't really mind if they die fast. And then I jumped into the new raid right after the field trip and got a lava floor. So, had some house redecorating to do. My Mordor door room now has a lava floor.
Very fitting.
I like the effect.
I mean, really, can you think of anybody more appropriate than Sans to get the lava floor? I roared with laughter when they said, oh, Sans Winda got the lava floor, and I'm like, of course, Sans Winda got the lava floor.
It's awesome.
So appropriate, yes.
And I even picked the books up off the floor, guys, and put them on the fireplace mantle since the floor is now lava.
It's really cool. She has the room in her house where she's put it is the room where she has all of her Mordor doors. So it's like
Oh,
you walk
nice.
into this room with this
Oh,
lava
that's
floor, and there's all
awesome.
these Mordor doors. This is great.
Yeah, unfortunately, there aren't enough hooks in that room for my Mordor doors. Like, there's not even enough hooks for part of. Well, I managed to
three
get
of them in
3
there, I
doors
think.
in.
Yeah.
But I think I have 29 doors now.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. What's behind door number 7? Oh, look, it's Mordor again.
Right? So I'll probably furnish some of my other houses. My nephew's house might need a few Mordor doors. He's been wanting some. And then I took my squishy runekeeper, who's squishy, and should have taught me a lesson about Arya and characters I know, on a shopping spree, because Sans has gotten quite a bit of ash recently. And I was like, this is Account Mountain now. I should see what I can upgrade. So I upgraded her a bit, and took her through the Agronite instance, and then got to thinking, I bet if I paid attention, I could upgrade her some more. So I went back through with a Tier 2 stat guide in hand, and upgraded her some more. And while her weapons aren't ready for Tier 2, her stats are now. And then to test it, I took her on a solo Court of Saragos run at 105, Tier 1, of course. And it actually went really well. I was surprised. Though speaking of that, if you guys have ever tried to drag a champion through an instance while they're swinging their swords, you should know that they've got a pretty big range.
Yeah. If you're talking about Raging Blades, it's 8.2 meters.
Just for future reference, if anybody needs to do something like that. But I didn't have to drag my Runekeeper through. She went in willingly and set everything on fire and brought in some lightning and snow and other things. And yeah, it was fun. So, Pineleaf, how was your week?
Well, I will begin with my lore master on Gladden, where I was finishing up my season on my lore master series, where I was doing skirmishes on there. So I ran the latter ones, the Icy Crevasse, the three ones, the Icy Crevasse, and finishing up with Fort of Ruin. And so that went reasonably well on those. On my Landreful Warden, I ran some dailies on there, just doing some on there. I'm still not sure whether or not I'm going to do much in the way of the other storylines, since I did all the storylines on my Crick Hollow Warden, so I don't know whether or not I'm going to do any more on that yet or not. So I don't know how far I'm going to go on dailies on that particular character. And I did some Yule Festival with my main warden, running the festival in order to get a few cosmetics. Of course, getting in. See, I got the owl and the hare, and I got a couple of kites also. That's what I've got so far on there. I'll see what else I'm going to get for that character. And I ran many skirmishes in order to help working on skirmish guides.
Go figure.
Yes, go figure.
Who would have thunk it, finally?
Yep. We currently have 19 supporters on Patreon. If you would like to join this illustrious array of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Player Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or you'll be a guest with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast at LOTROplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, the Player Alliance at Players Ally, LOTRO Players at LOTRO Players, Ariandes at Ariandes, Maven at Tolkien Maven, Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needle, Senswinda at Senswinda, and Terry Edwin at Terry Edwin. The Players Alliance has 2 weekly shows. Every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. And every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. You can join us for our live shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. Until next time, this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.